Yo guys, welcome to another JavaScript video. I hope you watched the previous episode, and in this episode we're gonna talk about arrays. I'll just give you a brief explanation about them. Don't worry, you'll get a full course about them in episode 4. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, for the start, I'm gonna talk about variables, which I did mention in the previous episode. I want to show you various things related to logic and just normal JavaScript stuff. For example, I'll make a variable called number. You do remember that each time you define a variable, you would give it to some quantification in the next line. But there's a much simpler way that makes your code more efficient and cleaner. You can write equal and your value in the same line and then just close it. I did mention that why it's important to close each line. I do have a normal variable now, which is a number. Now if I define another variable and equal it to a string variable and then plus them by two numbers, what would happen? I want you to think about the answer before I show you. It gives the output as high 2310. But why though? I did say that JavaScript can recognize the type of variable and you can have bunch of different variables without needing for any defining the kind of them. But why in here it did specify that a string but not specify it as numbers and counted them as a string? The answer is right here. If I make another variable called number3 and equal it to 23 plus 21 plus a string, what will my output be? 33 high. But why? The answer is in how JavaScript reads your code. So basically it says, okay, I'll make a variable called number and equal it to, well, this is a string. So I can plus a string with a number. What should I do? It doesn't have meaning. I'll just print the whole thing out. But in here, it again makes a variable named number3 and it says, alright, this is a number and this is also a number. I can add them together so I get 33 as an output. But again, you have a string, but JavaScript can plus a string with a number, so it'll just print it as it is. But what's the difference? In here, the string is at the end of your code and it doesn't break your equations. But in this one, string is first, so it'll always break the equations after it. This was a simple thing I wanted you to know about variables. Now, imagine you have a variable called person. This person can have a first and last name. So normally you would go like this: person equals to whatever first name you like plus whatever last name you like, and just print it. The output is clear as you can see, but it has a problem. We can't specify the amount of first names and last names we're gonna get. We don't know how many users are gonna use this variable. So in order to fix that, in your current variable, you can make another two variables. How? You should open two brackets and write in the variable first name, for example, Colin, and then name it what you want. Then comma and another variable like last name and close the line. Now, what will I get if I print person? Nothing, because person doesn't have anything to show. Person doesn't have any value. In here, we have this variable which I have first name with a value and last name with another value, but person doesn't have any value. If you look here, it says that person has a first name and last name, which both have a string value. But what happens if I print first and last name? If I write first name here and print it, I get nothing. But that's because we don't have a variable called firstName. These two are a subset of main variable. So whenever you want to print a subset, you should write main variable dot subset, which in here is person and firstName. Now in the output you can see the firstName without any problem. And if you want to print both of them, just put a comma between and write the other subset just like the other one. And if they stick to each other, put another comma here, a double quotation with a space, and again another comma. Problem fixed. We now know that with this kind of coding you can have input and it'll show anything that the user enters, which is needed in the future topics, so memorize them. I forgot a little something here. We have 23 plus 10. If I change it to 23 minus 10, comment this one, and print number 3, I get 13 high. But if I do the same on the other one and print it, I get none error. But why? What's the difference? The whole point I'm trying to say, whenever you stumble upon an error which you have no idea why and how it happened, you can use this code, console.log. Now, if I write number 2 in it, go to my site, and in here from console, I can see the error and the reason to it if you have a big problem in your code. For example, if you accidentally write equal instead of colon, which is a pretty common mistake that anyone can make. Now, if I write person.lastName in the code, your site will tell you that this code is having a problem and tells you why, which you can go back and fix it. So, whenever you saw an error which you don't know why it occurred, you should use console.log. But why when I used this one in console.log, it didn't show me the reason for the error I got? Because I got a non-error. For example, if I define another variable here, you can see that I can plus the strings and I'll give the output with no errors. But here, as I said before, if you put a string at the start of your variable and then some numbers, it'll consider the whole thing as a string. The issue in here is you can minus one string from another. That's the reason you're getting this error. If I put minus here, you get another non-error. So our next topic is about some Boolean variables. For example, I want to know how well is my internet working, or you want to make a speed test site. And if you want to write such a thing with JavaScript, you should use Boolean variables. An important thing about these variables are you have to write it in front of them, just like var or variable is connected, for example. We also need conditions too, so I define 2 more variables, variable a, comma b, and semicolon. A equals 10, semicolon, and b equals 9, semicolon. Now in here, if I write colon is connected equals parentheses a equals b, what will my output be? Let me comment these 2 so we don't get confused. Now the output I'm getting is not right. Why? I don't know. Give me some time to find out why. As I said, debugging your codes is a huge part of your coding. My problem here was that I should have used 2 equals here, because in conditions, whenever you want to say that something is equal to another thing, you have to use 2 equals. Now in here, a is not equal to b, so in output I get false. So if it's false, that speed test I use, for example, will not work. But if I write 10 for b, I get true in output. This was a little something you should know about Booleans. Alright, so far We learned about booleans and how to use them. We learned about subset variables and how to put them together in one main variable. We also found the rule of using a string and number in one variable and what would happen if they change their places. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope that you learned something new. If you have any problems or ideas about these videos, we'll be more than happy to read your comments about them. And you can also discuss your problems in our Discord channel. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out!